edition of Hard Drive, where we have sparklers, and we're going to be talking about who we are, what we used to drive, introduction to us, talking about the hard debate in terms of insurance companies, how we find them, talking about the industry at the moment due to the COVID lockdown and everything along those lines, and also talking about that lasted long. Alright, we'll also be talking about the sports, talking about the F1 starting the races again, talking about the latest game releases that are due this year, but also we're going to be talking about what really burns our oil, having a bit of a rant and a rave as well. So, yeah, nonetheless, let's start with a show! So I'm Josh, people call me Highland, and with me my co-host and co-founder of Hard Drive, Mr. Josh Scoop.
What up?
So we'll start the show off with section 1, which is all about us really, because seeing as this is the first episode, we should really tell people who we are, and what we used to drive and that sort of thing as well. So Scoop, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, thanks, mate. That's only because I've had more cars than you.
Yeah, maybe. You've had your licence longer than I have.
Yeah, that's true. So I've had my licence now since 2012, I believe, give or take. Well, car licence anyway. I've had a lot of bikes previous to that. I've had roughly, I think I've worked out, I've had roughly around 20 cars, give or take.
I haven't even counted how many cars I've had, but I think I'm near your number, and I've had my licence less than you though. Like that's actually, I always mock you for swapping your car loads, but I actually think I'm close to your number on cars.
Yeah, I did a count up the other night, and I've had roughly around 20 cars.
What was your first car?
Well, technically, the first car that I ever owned was a Peugeot 205.
Right, but you owned it but didn't drive it? Or
I owned it. No, I didn't drive it because I didn't have a license because I was a good boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. For legalities, yeah, you did not drive it. Yeah. Okay.
For legal reasons, I did not drive the vehicle. But technically, my first actual car on the road that I could drive was a Mark V Ford Fiesta.
Oh yeah, that was your little Fez that you had, the modified.
That was the silver one.
Oh, you had a blue one after.
Yeah, because I had the silver one. Did a bit of a crash.
See, I haven't crashed my car ever. Touch wood that I've never had a crash. And
you've driven into a few things though.
I have actually, yeah. I have ripped a bumper off my one of my old cars.
I remember the Focus of you up the prison driving into a bollard.
Oh man, I can't even remember that. That's good memory of you. I can't. Maybe I just bypassed the memory out of my mind. Well, my first car was Bad Boy Racer, Citroen Saxo.
Chav.
But no, it wasn't a VTR. It was a 1.4. I don't even think it was a 1.4. I think it might have been a 1.2. Family sort of, the family model. Like I had really no choice. So well, I did have a choice, but a friend who was working with was selling the car right at the same time that I passed my tests. So yeah, that was a no-brainer for me. So I wanted a car, just wanted to drive. Didn't really modify it. And then I moved on to a Polo 6N 3-door, no 5-door. Then went to a 3-door Polo 6N. Then I went to a Mark IV Golf. Then another Mark IV Golf. And then my mind gets a bit hazy. I think I've had a Fiesta, like not your shape, the shape before yours. So the Mark III Fiesta. Had one of them. Had a Peugeot 307, I think it was. Like not the 306.
Yes, it was.
Like
yes,
the
it
real
was.
family car. Turbo went on that. So the 2 French cars I've had have been.
Did you blow it up though?
The turbo probably, but it's a French turbo. Like they're not built to last.
I had my Clio 182 for 3 weeks and then blew it up.
French turbo. See, French cars.
Hasn't got a turbo. 182s don't have turbos.
Well, there you go. Even worse, everything should have a turbo. Turbos are so much fun. Everything should have a turbo.
Of course they are. Everyone needs a good old spoolie boy.
The hard drive top tip: don't ever buy a French car.
To be fair, Brandy had a Peugeot 206. I hit a deer in that, and it was absolutely mint. Not a scratch on it.
Well, all right. Well, but the 206 it probably glided underneath it. It's so small. It's just like went underneath.
Oh no, it was a Stag. It was huge.
So it wasn't Brandy. It was you. You hit the car.
Well, the whole issue was a car coming the opposite way had hit it. It had then kind of bounced and scattered, and then I clipped it on the way past.
Right. So out of all the cars you've had, what's been your best car?
There's three that stick in my mind every single time I think about it.
I can't say the Skyline because the Skyline was a garden ornament.
Oi, I drove that. That counts. I drove it around the yard. All right, that
He
counts.
spent most of his life in your front garden.
It was not running on all cylinders at all, but I still drove it. It still counts.
Okay, so top three.
Top three, yeah, I think one of them's got to be the Skyline just because it was a non-rolling shell when I got it. And, you know, I did a build-up. Me and a couple of lads did a build-up on it. Was very close, weren't far off finishing it. Then, unfortunately, funds run out and that sort of stuff happens, unfortunately, when it comes to project cars. Yeah, life gets in the way, unfortunately. Yeah, so the other one's going to be my blue Mark V Fiesta, the Z-Tech S, the blue one. Loved that car, absolutely loved it. And I think my last one is going to have to be the Disco that I had.
As soon as you said disco, my mind went back to your Barbie girl Suzuki Vitara you had. That's where my mind went.
That Vitara was amazing. It was crap. It was utter crap, but...
That was pink as well, wasn't it? Was that pink or am I imagining it?
No, you were dreaming that. It was red.
Red, yeah, okay, yeah. All right. My top three. Number one, anyone who knows me, you all know this. My top one will be the Bora that I used to have. My VW Bora was just... that was the first car that I'd actually modified, and it actually went well. Like, in my track record of modifying cars, you know, it went well. And the thing is, I spent loads of time and loads of money. And look, the Bora was alright. Had a bit of issues, but that's just VW issues all over. Had the common VW issues. But that was my favourite car. Should not have got rid of that, but life happens. Second, I don't know. The second car, I'd say one of my Saabs. Like, I liked one of my Saabs. That was a cool little car. Number three. Don't know. Potentially, you know what? I'd actually say my Tiguan at the moment. It's a standard car, standard SUV, but I love it. It just drives like a Golf on steroids. I love it so much. It's a nice little daily. It's quite nippy. It doesn't feel like an SUV. It feels like a Golf. It's just really, really nimble. Great for city driving because of the electric power steering. Great for long drives. Comfortable. You know, that's definitely my top three, I'd say, for me.
I need to add a favourite car. I need to add four. I'm sorry. I've got to add another one. It's the Passat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can't believe that didn't end your top three, to be fair.
To be fair, I've had so many cars, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, that's true. I keep wanting a new like what's going to be your next car? Like my next car, I want it to be a TT.
I've got a choice between two. I would love my Passat back, but 1.8 petrol turbo, just because I've never owned a Passat, which is a 180. Or the second one is going to be another Scooby turbo wagon.
Yeah, because you had one of them before as well.
I had a Scooby wagon. It was non-turbo, classic.
Yeah, because you have the what's it in the Scoobies that you have the overdrive, don't you? I think it is where you like you've got first gear and the second gear, but then you can put it into like overdrive and it like gives you more power and it like for off road, isn't it?
Some of them do. I mean, the Scooby that I had a low range and a high range gearbox.
That's it, low range, high range gearbox. Yeah,
that was quite entertaining. Just up when I picked it up, we were like, oh, let's have a play, you know, see what it does. So as you do, went up to the local airfield, asked them politely if I could, you know, run up and down the strip. They were like, yeah, it's fine. Asked them.
Yeah, legalities again. Yeah.
Pinned it off the line, and I nearly ended up in the back seat.
Brilliant.
I've never had a car that had low range and high range gearbox before.
I've never driven one. Never driven one before.
The gear changes, like, you've got to be really quick, otherwise you're bouncing off the limiter. So pinning it in first, in the low range, I don't know, it just picked up and went. So before I knew it, I was back in the seat, had to change the second. So anything I had on my dash went flying into the boot, you know.
Brilliant. Well, oh mine's going to be a TT, I think. Just because it'll be I'm flitting between a 1.8 turbo. It'll be either the 180 or the 220 BAM. I felt like the Bora was 1.8 turbo, 150 brake. Absolutely loved that. Was like quite nippy for what it was. Obviously the 220 BAM is the same as an S3 engine apparently. S3 petrol engine, which is fine. Like, yeah, I could just go get an S3, but the markup on an S3 compared to a TT is completely different. It's all about budget. So my budget at the moment is like non-existent. So it's about begging the wife to actually let me buy a new car.
Cheap as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So I want it as cheap as possible. Get a TT. The cheapest option would be 1.8 turbo because there's loads of those about for not that much money, under the sort of £2,000 mark. But even still now, the 220 BAMs in good condition are about like £3 to £4,000 still. That's like near mint condition, and you can't really find 220 BAMs. What I've found really about for less than £2,000 at the moment. And if they are, there's just mounts of problems with them. So that's my next one. Lastly, on this sort of who we are and like our sort of car journey, what's your dream car? Because you've had the Skyline. I don't know if that is your dream car. So what's your dream car?
So my dream car was always a S14A, Nissan S14A Silvia. Always wanted one. Planned on getting one. Then obviously Skyline came up cheap and bought that instead. However, I think if money was no object,
yeah,
I think the dream car is gonna have to be an old Lamborghini, you know, like a Countach or something like that. I just love the look. I love the look of them. There's a few other people who have driven them, and they say never meet your idol because they drive like crap. But yeah, I don't know. I really want one. You know, I've seen films like Cannonball Run for starters. There's a beautiful one in Cannonball Run. I believe it's the first film. They've got one in it. Absolutely loved it, and ever since I watched that film, I wanted one.
For me, now this is probably going to be really generic, but
Going to be a Ferrari or something.
No, not a Ferrari. I'd go for Eleanor. Out of Gone in 60 Seconds. Absolutely, the Ford Mustang. The difference is the Ford Mustang in Gone in 60 Seconds is a 1971 fastback GT Shelby, and I don't like the 1971s. I like the 1967s. The 1967 fastback GT Shelby. Oh man! And I've actually driven Eleanor. I've driven the 1971 GT Shelby. Like, the wife got me a birthday present, track day, and absolutely loved it. It was like I've never experienced a driving experience like that, because I've always driven cars with modern brakes, and you know, they're like modern brakes, modern gearboxes, modern accelerator. You know, everything's modern about it, so it's quite easy to drive. The Shelby was just something else, and the guy was just going, yeah, pump it. So I'm speeding down like the straight at like 100s, and he's like, right, brake, and I'm like, there's nothing here, you have to pump the brakes, turn, and you know, there's no power steering, so you're proper like wrestling the car to get it around the corner at 60 to 80 miles an hour, just like right, and then getting that roar again from the engine. And yeah, so I've driven it, loved it, want one. No one can change my mind. 1967 fastback GT Shelby. That is the dream. That's one of many dreams I have. This is insurance companies. So obviously in the UK alone, there's just like hundreds and hundreds of insurance companies offering different plans, different premiums, different, you know, the wife works for NFU Mutual, so she like deals with mostly farmers and that sort of thing, and you know, they're more on the products rather than price. But there's just, I don't like, if you're a new driver going in, first time driver or even like a long term driver trying to switch, there's just where do you start? Like where do you find insurance? Where do you start with insurance?
So generically, I normally start going online and just go compare the market. You know, I'll compare the meerkat, compare the market. You know, all that sort of stuff, and then try and figure out, you know, what's the best. I'll ring a few companies around and see what they can give me. But yeah, I think mostly it's comparison websites.
Yeah, I find that comparison websites. The hardest point is that some companies aren't on comparison websites. Like I'm pretty sure Aviva aren't, Direct Line aren't. So they're the companies that they say come to us direct and we'll give you the best price. But you know, for the modern time, you don't want to be spending 20, 30, maybe like minutes, not even that, like maybe an hour, a couple of hours, just calling every company, asking, jotting them down. The comparison websites have really hit a niche market for people, especially our sort of generation, have just gone, right, reg in, bang, give me a list.
The issue that I found though is with compare the market and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, we can get you a cheap price. I then ring up someone, I don't know, say Direct Line, ask for a quote. 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, we'll beat anything. What have you been quoted? Tell them what I've been quoted. Nah, we can't beat that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing with NFU, for example. So with Sasha's, so she has, when someone asks for a quote from Sasha, when they call them up and talk to them, she openly says, what's your insurance right now? What's your premium? And if they say a price that they know they probably won't beat, they have to say, we're probably not going to beat it. But the reason we're not going to beat it is because we are quite expensive on X, Y, and Z, but we give you more. So we give you more for your money. So that's the hard sell. That's the hard drive debate. Like, where do you go? Do you go cheap and get skimped, or do you go more expensive and get more for your money and more cover, and possibly legally better for you? So that's
I mean, it's hard for new drivers though, because like one of my friends, he's a new driver. He's 19, 20, something like that. Just a completely standard average car. It's costing him over $2,500 on insurance.
See, I find that with the Citroen though. The Citroen Saxo wasn't a boy racer car. It was 1.2. I think 1.2 or 1.4 max. It wasn't a VTR, but and that was back in the day because I passed my test when I was 21. Coming up to 28 this year. So it would have been 7 years ago this year. So 7 years I've held my license now. But when I first got that, I was 20 actually, sorry, because I turned 21 when I had passed my test anyway. So I was 20 when I passed my test. Now, I'm not 17. I've had 4 years in a sense of driving like tests and that sort of thing and doing that. I say tests, pass first time, 1 minor.
I had 2 minors on mine.
But even then, the car I bought for like $1,000, I think, and I was with who was it? Admiral. That's it. I was with Admiral, back box included, obviously, and that was like $2,500. Like absolutely mental for that. They just. And that was back in the day when they had the boys and the girls, so they differed. So if I was a girl, I'd bet you anything it would have been like $1,000, like $1.5 maybe. I'd have probably saved about $1,000 by being a female. Now they've locked it, so it doesn't matter if you're boy or female. Still matters about your job though. Yeah, that's exactly it. The job as well. If you're doing a lot of driving, your premium goes up because there's more. It's all about the percentage of how much you're going to get into a crash and how much they're going to have to pay out. So. If you're a national sales manager that you're driving around everywhere, the chance of you having a high premium is more likely. If you're a librarian, like they're probably your premium comes down. I know people who have put down that they're a hairdresser just to get their insurance cheaper. You mentioned first-time drivers. Now, this is something that I want the audience to sort of have their view on, and this is where the hard debate comes in, because the pass procedure of driving. Riding a bike, so a motorbike, completely different, absolutely horrendous. Like you've ridden bikes, so you know the procedure, and I know a little bit about it. But for example, to put this into a scenario, You're 17, you've just passed your test, your dad's a UK multi-billionaire, so your dad or your mum or whoever owns owns every bank in the UK, and he's minted, lives in a mansion, and you've just passed your test, you're 17, your dad's gone, you know what, I'm going to buy you a Lamborghini Aventador for your birthday, 17th, because you've passed your test as well. Here's the keys, bang, I've paid for the insurance, boom. That kid can drive that. Straight out, he can drive a Aventador if he's got the money to pay for the insurance. The insurance might be like 3 million, but if he's got the money to pay that and he can buy the car, no problem.
So yeah, with bikes it's completely different. With a car license, you can pass your test in a car, go out and drive whatever car you want, no matter what size engine or anything like that. Now with bikes, it's slightly different. So with, if I remember rightly, 16, 17, blah blah blah, all the way up to 21 is a 125 or restricted CC. Okay, so that means it's normally when I did mine, it was up to the age of 21. You can do your big bike test, but you are restricted to 33 brake horsepower, if I remember rightly, or I think it was either 33 or 48, one of the two, brake horsepower. So that means if you've got a 1000cc bike, you've then got to get that restricted down so that the brake horsepower matches what it should be. So that's like going out and buying a Lamborghini and having to put like a 1.2 Fiesta engine in it.
Okay.
Obviously it's not, but you get the idea. And then you, after the age of, it used to be after the age of 21, I can't remember if it still is now, you could do your direct access, meaning you can do your CBT, go straight out, do your big bike test, then you can ride anything.
And that makes sense, because you've got those age restrictions there. So you're not 17 buying a super bike and killing yourself, because bikes are much, much more dangerous.
Thing is, with a car though, it's a killing machine, let's face it. You know, it's the same with a bike. They're a killer machine. You restrict the bike so that there's not a lot of brake horsepower to it, but you don't restrict the car.
The debate here is, and what I want the viewers to sort of have their input on, is it would probably never happen, but should there be a system in place where you're 17 and you're only allowed to buy a 1 litre up to a 1.4? That's it, maximum. The thing is, with this though, you've got a lot of people who aren't millionaires in the UK. This is probably why it won't come into effect, because there's not that many people who are going to go out and buy, you know, a 3 litre diesel or 3 litre petrol V8, you know, or whatever car they can get their hands on. They're not going to have the money for that at 17. Their dads probably won't give them that, because hopefully you'd think the parents are more responsible. But the debate is that we want you to hear from you guys is, should there be, or in your opinion, should there be an age restriction limit? So 17 to 21, you can only get a 1.4 maximum. Once you're 21, you can then do another test in a 1.8 or a 2 litre or whatever to prove that you can drive it without being a knob. Like, you know, without being that kid who's like, oh, I've got a 3 litre Beamer. So what? You're 17. You're probably going to crash it in about 3 months. So
the thing with that is though, you've got the speed limits as well. So it's not really going to matter the size of the engine, because you've still got them speed limits in place. So if you hit someone in a 1.4 Fiesta, say, doing 70, and you hit someone in a 3 litre BMW doing 70, there's not really much difference.
There's a BMW 3 litre and you've stuck to 70 all the time. Yeah, I do get your point, but yeah, but if you're in a 1.4 Fiesta, right, or even 1.2 or whatever, because most people won't, unless you're going on finance, which a lot of, you know, our generation below us are doing. If you're going on finance, you can probably get a new Fiesta, but if you're not, you're going to get an old Fiesta. And honestly, that Saxo, I drove that at 70, and that was probably the most terrified I've been in a car. Like, just shaking. It was great. It was amazing. 70 miles an hour. Just like thinking the whole car's going to collapse on me because of the pressure of the air. Like it's so scary as a 17-year-old driving a little shitbox at 70 on the M25. I'm going to Heathrow. I've never driven the M25 before. There's cars everywhere. It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Right, let's move on. So, section 3 is of the show. It's what we like to call What's New. Scoop, you've been looking at new cars that have been released or are going to be released. Take it away.
Yeah. So, there's quite a lot of SUVs coming out. So, being the DBX, supposedly it's got a 542 brake twin turbo V8.
That does look lush.
What more would you want in a SUV?
In an SUV as well. It's just like.
Why?
To be fair, I'm looking at the pricing now, right? On the road cash price for this is 158 grand for this SUV.
As you do.
Now, that's and if you want to go on finance, your credit will have to be like no marks on your credit. 6.5% APR, 1,500 quid a month. That's my wage. That's just my wage on a car a month. Like, well, you know the old saying, you can't race a house, so maybe.
Well, yeah, there is that.
You can live in a car. The interior looks absolutely mental. You can accessorise with full levers. You know, you've got. There's obviously going to be extras on top of that. 158 grand is just probably the baseline DBX. But 158 grand on an SUV is just something else.
I haven't seen any on the road. Not that obviously it would, but you know.
It came out in November 2019, I think. So it's still a fairly new car. What's the other SUV that's coming out?
Mecrcedes GLA Maybach.
GLA or GLS?
I've got GLA. You might have GLS.
I think it's GLS.
We'll go with GLS.
This car is hideous. If you compare it to the Aston Martin, it's absolutely god awful.
I like the interior though.
It's the ultimate form of luxury, apparently. Ultimate form. Like, but looking at the front end, it looks like a dog holding onto a dog chew. Like the angry note. I'm a big car.
The best bit I saw was written together was 22-inch wheels and a mini fridge.
Why do you need a mini fridge? Oh, it's just like that is for the. They've literally accommodated that for the billionaires and gone. You know what? Yes. You've got too much money. Chuck it at this. Like Mercedes have just gone. Yeah, sure. Again, 4-litre V8, same as the Aston.
I was gonna say they are doing a mild hybrid, so you're gonna have the 4-litre V8 mated to a 48-volt electric motor.
0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.8, so it's slower than the Aston. Really, even with that extra horsepower, it's still 0 to 60 slower.
But you will be doing that speed, drinking a flute of champagne. You know, we figure out. You know,
in the US, it comes out at top speed 130 miles an hour, where in Europe, 155. So again, top speed is less than the Aston Martin, and I bet you it's probably around about the same price. Just because of all the tech. That's all it is. It's just a big box of tech for me. But they've come out to rival the Bentley, the Bentayga range. Now,
you know more about the Bentley than what I do, so.
Well, right. Basically, Bentayga. There's loads of different. You've got the Speed. You've got the Bentayga, the V8 diesel. V8, then the diesel, then the hybrid. So Bentley, you've got loads more options, and actually, it does look banging. It does look quite nice. Very footballer's wife. Very footballer's wife. You can personalise it again. You can get all these different features like leather seats. You know, you've got all this the handmade like clock in one of the vents. You know, you can do an all-terrain mode. You know, you get all these accessories. Just looking at the engine, I'm trying to find the specs on the engine. I don't think if we're looking here, performance. So 190 miles an hour top speed. So it's bigger and better than the Aston. Yeah, top speed 190. V8 design goes to 180. They've got a V8 engine, so again, it's the same as the Aston. They're all trying to rival each other, but for me, the Aston, out of all of those, like, whoo, that's what I'd take. Aston Martin every day. What about you? What would you take out of those three?
Yeah.
If you say the Maybach, we're not friends.
Interior wise, I would go Maybach.
You just want to sip champagne whilst doing 100.
I do. I just want the mini fridge while my driver drives me everywhere. You know, the chauffeur. You know. But I think overall looks has got to be the Aston as well. Like you're saying, the Mercedes just looks like an angry dog.
It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I think the Bentley for me is too much of a footballer's vibes car. I think it's very. It looks sporty at the front, but Aston just looks absolutely amazing. It looks like an old DB9, and that just looks amazing. Jag have got a new car out, haven't they?
Yes, they're redoing the F-Type, aren't they? So, or the F-Pace, one of the two. They've redesigned it, so different engine. So it's a 5 litre supercharged V8, 567 brake. It's just going to be all upgraded. So you're going to have better interior. You're going to have a nicer interface for, like, you know, your music, you know, that sort of thing, climate control, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and you've got different types. The thing is, you've got the F-Type Coupe, which is on the road price for 54 grand. The R Dynamic, which is 57 grand from that. Then you've got the first edition Coupe, 63 grand. Then you've got the F-Type R Coupe, which is 97 grand. Now, if you go for the R-Type Coupe, the sort of bigger, the top of the range, 186 miles an hour, top speed, 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60. Mental performance there. All-wheel drive. If you go for the top of the range R Coupe, you can get all-wheel drive. You can choose between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive on certain ones as well. And that looks. I've always wanted a Jag, but just my next SUV might be the Jag SUV. I might go for that.
You save up a little bit more, go for the Aston. Why not?
Well, you never know. This show might kick off. You know, there might be a Netflix TV producer that goes, "These two guys, they're crying out for a TV show. Here's a budget. Go, guys."
BBC have got one. Amazon Prime have got one. Netflix don't. You.
Well, if you are Jaguar, Aston Martin, or Netflix, hit us up. Let's crack this on, shall we? This is the part where we just rant and rave. This is your little idea, and I love this.
Yeah. So, what really burns my oil? You know, stuff that really irritates me, stuff that, you know, really pisses me off, if I'm honest with you.
This is, again, a prime opportunity for anyone who's watching this to just send us your thoughts on this.
What pisses you off?
Exactly. Each week we're going to be doing a different topic about what really just really burns our oil. Like, you know, really frustrates us about just everyday driving. Tell us your thoughts on it. Feel free to suggest some that really tick you off, and we'll see if we agree or disagree on it. This week is giving way and saying thank you.
Giving way and, you know, that sort of thing, especially when you're on a motorway or a dual carriageway. So in the highway code, I'm going to get technical now. In the highway code, when you're coming up to a slip road, which is coming on to the motorway or dual carriageway that you're on, you should, on the inside lane, move to the outside lane when safe, let the other car join, then you move back in again. Happy days. The amount of people that don't get angry with you because you're trying to come on and they refuse to move over. I mean, I had a guy the other day that was shouting and swearing at me out the window because, you know, I'm a mobile tyre fitter, so I have a van. I pulled on.
You're like the worst person.
Yeah. So I pulled onto the dual carriageway. He was on the inside lane, refused to move over, so I sped up a bit to then come on. He then sped up a bit. So, you know, being the angry child I am, I just kept merging. He then eventually moved. He then moved, held me a lot of abuse, and then pulled in front of me.
You are easy to throw abuse at, though, so it's, you know.
Yeah, plus I'm a very angry child, so I will just, you know, I'll just rage for no reason.
I don't know what Sasha's thoughts are on this, because like with the motorway sort of things, you're meant to get up to 70, or so if you're on a dual carriageway, it's 70 miles an hour is top speed. So you want to get up to around about between 50 and 70 to move in.
On the slip roads, yeah.
Yeah, on the slip road. Now, what Sasha says, it's their problem. I think that's what she said. It's their problem. It's like, you don't have to give away. You know, they have to filter into so it's merge. She thinks it's a merge in. So like, you're on the left-hand lane, and you like as a slip road, you have to try and match your speed and go in. Whereas I'm with you on this. That I'll move over. I'll always move over. I'll go from the left lane into the middle lane. Let them come in. Especially if you're on like the M25. It's a lot of traffic. You're not gonna, beat that many cars. So you move over and they come in. But
it's written in the highway code, though. You should know it.
For me, giving way, so my biggest barrier of giving way and saying thanks is, so on the highway code. I don't know what it says in the highway code. It's ages since I did my theory, but common sense as well as highway code is, if you're driving and there's cars blocking your road, it's the other car's right of way, because they've got no blocking, so they can just go through. So on this, some cars will let you go through, some cars will just carry on, whatever. So this is the scenario. I've got cars in my way, it's not my right of way, cars coming through. If they do not say thank you, I don't care if it's your right of way, I have stopped my car for you to come through. If you do not say thank you, I want to literally turn my car around and ram you. So much when you're just like sitting there like, all you got to do is put a finger up, like just one, yeah, cool, thanks.
Hand on the steering wheel, one of them,
yeah,
fine.
The ones that blank you're like, and you're just like, I don't know you exist. It's they're the worst, absolute worst.
To be fair, I had a worse one coming to yours the other day. So around your estate, you've got quite a lot of cars that are parked on the side of the road.
I know exactly which hill you're talking about as well, I think.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I was coming
That's
up.
the hill I'm on about.
Yeah, I was coming up the hill. There was cars parked. There was nothing then coming my way. There was a good gap. So I pulled out. Halfway between the cars, a car then comes down, stops in front of me, gives it one of them.
Oh mate, they're the worst as well. But I on the other flip side of that, I can be that guy, because if it's my right of way, like, so I'm very pot kettle. So when I'm sitting there going, yep, come on through, whatever, like, and they say thanks, it's like, yeah, cool, whatever. If I'm on the side where there's no right, I've got the right of way, I ain't letting anyone through. I don't care. Like, I'm literally like, this is my, get out. Unless they're halfway through. Obviously, if they're halfway through, I'll stop and let them through. And again, you expect that thank you. And again, if they don't, oh my days. Rude.
See, I was halfway through. He then joined. There was a slip road to the right. So as I'm coming up the road, cars on the left, slip road to the right. He then pulled in to the slip road, give me the bird, and then carried on. I was like, really?
But that's the thing, like, I had that literally 10 minutes before we started recording this. I went to the shop just to get a drink. I had exactly that same thing happen to me. I'm halfway up and this little Mecrcedes CLA comes down, and I braked because he just kept flooding down that hill, and there's cars to the left, so it's his right of way, but I'm halfway up the road, and he was nowhere near by the time I was in halfway. So he just sped down that, gone through, and I've just, oh man, I nearly lost I nearly spun it round. This whole show could have been delayed by an hour. Let us know what you guys think. You know, that is one of my biggest bears, when people do not say thank you.
Yeah, but we want to hear what you know. We want to hear what you guys hate. You know, what really gets on your nerves. What burns your oil?
Also on this as well, pedestrians, they think they've got the bloody God's gift, don't they? Oh, when they're on a zebra crossing and they do that little foot thing, like, I've put my foot in, like, I don't care, I'll run you down, I don't care. The ones that cross that don't even care if you're a car, just like, you've got brakes, yeah, I've also got a gas pedal, mate, I'll run you down, I don't care, like.
Just to clarify, we would never run anyone down, obviously.
Well, let us know what you guys hate, what burns your oil. Let us know what you think about the giving way thing. You know, are we in the wrong? Are we wrong by thinking that, you know, a little bit of rudeness is the worst thing in the world? Let us know what you think on that. Moving on to game releases. Obviously, this is a part of the show that, with auto shows, not many people talk about the game releases and the sort of pop culture of cars, of all the automotive thing. So the biggest one is Need for Speed. The latest one out, Heat. I've got that. Love that. Might review it. Might do a little review for you guys to do. Did you know they've got the Fast and Furious coming out? A Fast and Furious. One way to make more money out of that franchise is to get a game out there. They had a game out there. They're releasing a new game. It's like called Crossroads. I haven't really looked at it. It's due May, so it's due this month. I haven't really heard much about it. I had a quick look online. It looks like you can do all the action stuff of driving a tank and driving a modified car with a machine gun on it. Like, just imagine the mental scenario Fast and Furious has got now. Put that into a game. That's probably what they've done. So, Burnout Paradise remaster, that's coming out. Which Paradise wasn't the best Burnout, was it? Burnout 3.
No.
Burnout 3 was the best Burnout.
I think it was the better one out of the whole series of them. I'm hoping the new one's going to be a lot better.
I think it's only coming out. I think it's only coming out on Switch as well. Only on Switch.
Really?
I think that's what I've read. That it's going to be on Nintendo Switch for 45 quid, which isn't a bad price for a remaster. But if it's only on Switch, then there's no point. There's no point at all.
The one they need to bring back, and I know 100% you'll agree with this.
I know where you're going with it already.
Go on, what is it?
Need for Speed Underground 2.
There you go. Everyone is waiting for this to come back.
That's the best game. The best game of Need for Speed.
That is my childhood right there. Sat in front of an old school PC with a big back on it, with a Logitech steering wheel and 2 pedals.
Oh, you went proper nerd. Oh no, I was just PlayStation 2 with the Riders on the Storm. As soon as that comes up, like the battle 106s that you could build. Oh, they were amazing.
Every time you hit the NOS, all you see is just like a little bit like that, because everything else goes all blurry. You crash a lot, and you know.
Yeah, it's the worst. Absolutely, it's the worst sort of like racing experience for NOS, but it was so much fun. My problem with doing the game releases, game reviews is I'm not very good at driving games. The only driving game I can do is Need for Speed, because it's so unrealistic. I can just be like, yeah, sweet, cool, whatever. I can drift. Oh, sweet. I play Forza. I'm never going to play Forza. I've tried it, hated it because I can't drive it, which bodes well for our actual road tests that we're going to do later.
That's fine. You're not. I've decided you're not driving. I'm going to drive.
You've had more crashes than I have. I've got 0. I've got no.
I've had 1 and it wasn't my fault.
Oh dear. Right. That's pretty much it for that today's first sort of episode, which is Megan. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to light another sparkler. I'm going to light another 2 sparklers because we've got through a whole episode. Hang on. Here we go. Look at this. Without messing it up. Oh, that's hot. Yeah. I've only got 1 alight though. Wait for it. Yeah! We did the episode! Woo! No,
did the episode, didn't forget a load of stuff. Haven't sworn that much either. I'm liking this.
This is very true. See, we are professional in the end. Even he says with 2 sparklers sitting here.
I'm waiting for you to try and put them down and turn the camera off now. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah! One's out and the other. Right, cool. Well, look, next week we are going to be talking more about the latest releases that are coming out. We'll also be talking about more stuff in terms of sports, you know, maybe looking at MotoGP, WRC, that sort of thing. Also, we are going to be introducing our soft to hard drive scale. Great name. Now,
such an original name.
We're not only going to be looking at non-modified cars, so the 3 that we've had a look at today, we're going to put them on the soft to hard drive scale, from soft being the absolute worst to hard drive, which is going to be, you know, something that we really love, and everywhere in between. So we'll have non-modified cars, but also we're going to have modified cars. So feel free to send in your cars that you guys like. Well, not you guys like, but you guys have. So feel free to send in your cars that are modified. Tell us about it. Send us some imagery on that. We'll then have a look at them. So for your chance to be featured, please do send them in. I'll put all of the contact details below so you can send that in, and you can be featured on the show, which will be nice. So that's something to look out for.
Yeah, there's a few new releases again, which we're going to talk about. Few new cars. You know, we're going to have a giggle.
And also, we're going to be doing what burns my oil yet again. So feel free to send in some suggestions, talking about what really burns your oil, gets on your nerves about driving or other drivers. Let us know also what you think about this week's Burns My Oil. And we will be trying to feature them on the show as well. So, bar that, like, share, subscribe. You know, get your friends to watch this. Invite everyone. If you're Netflix, hit us up. Let's do a TV show. If you're Aston Martin, give me the DBX. Or
Lambo, give me the Countach. I'd love you forever. You know.
No, you want the Mecrcedes Maybach. So Mercedes, you know, give him your ugly car. Feel free to send that dog biting chew toy car to Scoop.
Give it to me and I'll prove it's not a crap car.
Whereas I want everything else. But bar that is it from me and Scoop. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in next week.
See you later.